In Mexico, like it or not, we all know that what's called Holy Week is celebrated once a year. This celebration involves reenacting various moments from the last days of Jesus, according to the Bible. It starts with what's known as Palm Sunday, the Last Supper, the Passion, the Crucifixion, and the Resurrection of Christ. And the truth is, these events are still commemorated in many parts of Mexico, although for many people nowadays, it's more about rest and relaxing. Obviously, Jesus didn't die one year in March and another in April, like the celebration shifts nowadays. To avoid overlapping with the Jewish Passover, Christians, after much debate, decided to move the celebration based on the sun and the moon. First, they consider the spring equinox, which usually falls between March 19th and 21st in the northern hemisphere. And at the First Ecumenical Council of Nicaea in the year 325, it was agreed that Easter should be celebrated on the Sunday following the first full moon after the spring equinox. And since lunar cycles are about 29.5 days, that's why the day shifts every year, sometimes near the beginning of the spring, and other times almost a month later. This completely debunks those old sayings we will told on Good Friday, like when the sky darkened and they'd say, that's when Jesus died. Yeah, not quite. But what is true is that these European festivities aim to replace the Pre-Hispanic beliefs, and, in part, they succeed. Many ancient Pre-Hispanic ceremonial sites were replaced by the new belief system, with churches and crosses put up everywhere. Like over the Great Pyramid of Cholula, or the remnants of the ceremonial center of Tenochtitlan, or at the top of the Atlisco Hill in Puebla. In Pátzcuaro, in the Purépecha region with the Basilica of Our Lady of Health. Tepeyac, Chalma, in Chalma and countless other places across the former territory of Anáhuac. There are even modern examples like the Passion Play in Iztapalapa, Mexico City, while it doesn't date back to colonial times. It does end at the foot of the so-called Cerro de la Estrella, where the new fire ceremony used to take place. Now, these new stages become the setting for Holy Week reenactments, making the conversion to Christianity a bit easier. And of course, Christ's figures, the Virgin Mary, and other saints were meant to replace ancient deities. However, syncretism inevitably happened, and Holy Week was no exception. For instance, Black Christes came to represent deities like Tezcatlipoca, Tlaloc, or Chalmatecutli. And when it comes to the Virgin Mary, there's speculation that the Virgin of Guadalupe could represent Coatlicue or Tonantzin, while the Virgin of Los Remedios may reflect Mayahuel. Conchero dances appeared, at first making Asian beliefs, but today they actually dance in honor of the Christian God, to Jesus and the heavenly court. So many places where Holy Week is celebrated today were once secret sites of Pre-Hispanic worship. What really changed was the dance, the music, the processions, the deities' representations, sacred imagery, sacrifices, ceremonial fire, seed blessings, purifying water, ritual food, fasting, and ceremonial drinks. All of these were syncretized with elements of Catholic religious culture. Unlike today, where many people just see Holy Week as a break. During colonial times, people took it very seriously. Hellfire and brimstone were part of daily messaging. For example, a 1588 record highlights the gravity and solemnity of the ceremonies, with 3 mourners sounding 3 dissonant trumpets from time to time. Or on Holy Tuesday in 1609, it's said that over 20,000 indigenous people, including more than 3,000 penitents, marched from the chapel of San José de los Naturales in a grand procession. But today, these celebrations go beyond the Spaniards' original idea. Among indigenous communities, elements have blended so that they not only remember Christ's passion, but also reinterpret it politically. In some places, the devils represent the Spanish conquerors, or Jesus is seen as Quetzalcoatl. In other areas, Holy Week symbolizes the renewal of the earth. As mentioned earlier, the celebration comes after the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, which coincides with the beginning of planting season, right before the rains. That's why in some Holy Week ceremonies people pray to God or Jesus to bring rain for the crops. There are also sexual connotations in Holy Week rituals. Among the Raramuri in the Sierra Tarahumara, so-called Pharisees break sexual taboos in complicity with Judas, who is known for his sexual activity. Similar practices are found among the Coras in Nayarit, where the Pharisees also transgress norms through sexual games, fights, and more. Even though the celebrations have changed, these new Holy Week festivals still serve as systems to structure time and strengthen community life. They bring families together, especially in remote areas where people rarely see each other. So, just like before, Holy Week gathers social groups, passing down their values, rules, worldviews, and cosmovisions. And yes, theatricality continued, much like with the Egyptians, the vessels of the deities, but now with different names: Moors and Christians, Santiagos, Crusaders, dancers, with feather headdresses, Tocotines, Matlachines, Pharisees, Jews, Mecos, etc. Some of these characters even represent the wild Indian or northern Chichimeca groups. And during Holy Week, they sometimes perform prosperity dances to attract animals, like the deer dance or the pascola. Many of these dances were restructured to help evangelize with the new faith. In general, Catholic ceremonial forms were banned, especially among indigenous groups, less so among urban populations. These groups created their own version of Christ's death, with new music and instruments. The traces are still there, though it takes looking deeper to see them, because behind the Christian crosses are the 4-direction crosses. Behind the Pharisees are the Spanish conquerors. Behind the death of Christ is the abundance of future harvests, and many more symbols that show how ancient tradition clash with, but also coexist alongside, the Holy Week we celebrate in Mexico today.